Times op-ed earlier this year on social media from my friend Daniel Levy calling for a reset on Gaza from the administration. Does Kamala Harris need to break from Biden on this issue, do something different policy-wise? She's done better, I think, rhetorically.
Yes.
I think we can all agree. Does she need to do something better on policy, signal that she will be different, especially to win a key state like Michigan? I
do believe so, and I really think it really revolves around the idea of accountability and using our aid to Israel as leverage. I don't think we should be writing blank checks to any country that we're allied with, and that any kind of assistance we provide, any kind of weapons we send, should come with conditions. And I think that's a very sensible way to conduct foreign policy, and we do it just about everywhere else.
Yes.
So let's do it there too.
And in the summer, in May actually, you collaborated on an Instagram post with Save the Children, calling for a definitive ceasefire in Gaza and a release of the hostages, which we all want. You said you and Chrissy had donated, I think, $100,000 each to the charity for Gaza. How devastating has it been for you both as parents to see how many kids have been killed in Gaza? At least 16,000, probably more. Thousands more have limbs amputated. Some of them have come to the US for treatment. I'm a parent, you're a parent, forget the politics. Just seeing what's happened to children. What's that been like for the last year for you? I know you spend time on social media like we all do.
It's stunning to see it, and it also makes me very frustrated how easily we dehumanize certain people based on where they live, the color of their skin, their religion, whether or not they're allies with our country. No matter what political disagreements and political animus and anger we have at Hamas and the leadership in Gaza, those kids are innocent.
Yes.
And I don't believe in collective punishment, and I believe that their lives are just as valuable as Israeli lives or any other lives. And so I want foreign policy to be conducted with that in mind. I want philanthropy to be conducted with that in mind. And I want our news coverage of the situation to be conducted with that in mind, that these lives are just as valuable as any other lives around the world. And that means when we cover them, when we cover the stories, we center their humanity, and we don't just kind of gloss over it with just numbers, but we center their humanity just like we centered the humanity of the festival goers in Israel.
Yes.
And they were just there to enjoy some music, and it was horrific what was done to them.
Yes.
But it's also horrific for kids to get bombed in Gaza. It is absolutely horrific.
Well
and
said.
so we need to, as a society, as a world, equate those lives, equate the value of those lives.
100% agree, and well spoken. And you said dehumanization, and you're somebody who's tried to humanize Palestinians for a while. I remember watching you on Bill Maher several years ago come out on this, long before it was fashionable in Hollywood. But a lot of your fellow celebs, artists, won't touch this issue with a barge pole, despite the suffering we're all seeing in Gaza. We all agree, as you just very eloquently put it, what happened on October 7th was horrific. Innocent people killed. But when it comes, we can all say that, right?
Sure.
Happily. But when it comes to Gaza, we're not all willing to say that. And I just wonder, you're here in LA, in Hollywood, you're a prominent figure. Why do you think that is? Why do you think so many people just don't want to touch this issue with a barge pole?
Well, they've seen people get punished for it. You know, they've seen people lose their agent or lose jobs from it. And I think some people are afraid of that possibility. They're afraid they'll suffer professional
You're not?
consequences. No, I'm not afraid. One, I believe in what I'm saying, and I feel like what I just said, who disagrees with what I just said? Like, exactly. what about it is, like,
touche.
You know, like, I would love for someone to come to me and say why what I just said was immoral, anti-Semitic, anything, because it's not.
It's not.
And anyone who's being reasonable knows it's not.
Yeah.
But I understand why people might be afraid to talk about these issues because of professional consequences. But also, I think we all, and I have humility when I talk about this issue because I don't know it as well as I know a lot of the ins and outs of what's going on in the United States.
Yes.
I know what it means to be an American. I understand our system very well. I understand our history very well. And honestly, I don't know nearly as much about what's going on in Israel and Palestine, all the back and
Yes,
forth of the
fair.
negotiations that have happened over the last few decades. So sometimes we should make sure that those of us who aren't real experts on it have
Yeah.
some humility about what we know and what we don't know.
Fair point.
And one of the things I keep as a rule for myself is I don't want to post something that I couldn't answer a follow-up question about. And so
That's a good rule.
let's make sure, like, if we're going to weigh in on things, that we do the work to prepare ourselves to answer a follow-up question on it.
You are being humble because you do know more than most on this issue, so we appreciate you for that. And actually, every time I talk to you, John, and I think this is our fourth conversation, I ask you the same question.
All right. So this is an interview that I did not expect to happen. Mehdi Hassan, excellent debater, excellent interviewer, interviewed John Legend. This was totally random to me, and honestly, it was a great interview. I'll probably do a review of it because, as you know, my YouTube channel is all about taking these popular long form podcasts and finding out the most highlighted moments in these podcasts and then sharing them to you so you don't have to spend hours watching them, right? So in this podcast in particular, I really enjoyed this section about the Israel-Palestine conflict. And John Legend said some interesting things that I wanted to go over. So first of all, he made a very good point in the beginning that nothing that he's saying is controversial. He he's simply just saying that those kids are innocent. The kids and the women and children that are dying, at the very least, everyone can accept that the children are innocent. Unfortunately, there are some people in Israel who are still putting a lot of these kids into prisons too. I mean, not only are they getting shot dead, even before this whole conflict, kids go to prison over there. It's pretty normal, which is extremely sad. Another thing Mehdi Hassan asked him was, he mentioned that everyone is afraid for some reason to mention the suffering of the Palestinian people, which honestly, I do think the tide is turning now. I think more and more people realize that, where they're seeing all of this and something is not right there. At the very least, Israel is not as innocent as everyone thought Israel was before. And so he asked John Legend, how come everyone's so scared to talk about it? And why is John Legend not scared to talk about it? And he said basically straight up, he said, I'm not scared to talk about it. I'm not afraid to talk about it because I believe in the cause. And that's a very interesting, not interesting, that's a very important point because if you can get behind a cause that you truly believe in, you will be courageous, period. And then finally, he said something else that I also found interesting. He said, what did I say here that's controversial that people can call anti Semitic? The fact of the matter is nothing. And Mehdi hasn't said, that's a fair point. And my issue with that is that, yeah, a normal person would think that nothing you said is anti-Semitic, but there are many out there who will say that that's anti-Semitic. Just the mere fact that you're belittling the plight of the Israelis would come off as anti-Semitic, and many people would actually call that anti-Semitic. And those people are unreasonable. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this clip. I'll probably review the whole podcast soon. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see that. See you in the next video. Peace.